So today we'll learn about the Bracha of Shakol. We'll wrap up first the Bracha of Adama, which we started last week. And we'll wrap that up with a question, and then I'll bring a few questions about food, and whatever you say, at least for a minute, I'll say the opposite. Okay, so just to try and figure out the Brachot here. So let's just wrap up something from last week. What Bracha do we see on blueberries? Ha'etz, right? Ha'etz. I asked someone, what bracha do we say on blueberries? Adama. Okay, the answer is ha'etz. The answer is ha'etz. Very soon we'll try to figure out why would they get confused. What bracha do we say on cranberries, or how do you call them? Cranberries, yeah, or craisins, right? We know them sometimes as craisins because cranberries are too sour to eat, right? So we usually eat the sweet, the sugar with a bit of cranberries inside. So what bracha do we say on cranberries? Right? So both of them are berries, and we say, okay, that's blue, that's red, but besides the color doesn't change the bracha. So okay. So since cranberries are adama, so we figure out that blueberries will also be adama, and that's why we have a mistake. So as I looked at the plant today, I want to see how does the plant look like. Luckily, easily today it's very easy. So you Google what the Google plant? Which plant? Cranberries. So cranberries grow on bogs, right? The way they pick, that's very interesting actually. The way they pick the fruit, they don't go and pick the fruit. It will take too long to pick up all the fruit. They flood it with water, and then they just collect all the fruit which float on the water. Now, why is it so easy to flood? And that makes a bigger, that actually affects the bracha. A cranberry plant is relatively low, maybe about 10 centimeters. It's quite low. So it's less than 3 tfachim, or very, even if it's close to the ground. So it's so close to the ground, we look at it as that's a bit of grass that has a bit of fruit on it. While a blueberry, it's not a tree, but it does grow. Well, it's a bush. So there's a big difference between them. Yeah, cranberry it's very low. It's a very low plant. So halachically we said at least for brachot it's also in our perspective, and that's why the bracha on cranberries will be adama and blueberries will be ha'etz. It did seem like that in the past there were different varieties of blueberries, and that's why they were maybe lower, maybe they lived for a shorter time, and the bracha would be adama. So if someone said adama on blueberries, it's not a reason now to shout at them. There's no reason in any case to shout at someone.
But if they say adama on
any tree, that they're yotzi, and hopefully we'll also reach that today, hopefully. Okay, so that's just so you know where it came from. So we wrapped up the difference between trees and bushes and smaller plants. The raspberries.
Wild raspberries.
At least there is one is in Israel, right? The ones in Israel, so the wild ones you say on them ha'etz, while on the ones in the ones that you buy, so they'll be adama. Okay, so we're happy that Danny joined us. So good afternoon, Danny. Okay, so now I said I'll take off the microphone. So also Danny and Bobby, if they want to and I'll bring you a question. Now, at least for the first few seconds, whatever you say, I'll say the opposite. Okay, so don't be offended. I'm in a meal, okay, Sheva Brachot meal. Everyone's coming there for the Sheva Brachot or Kiddush or whatever it is. And I get this nice cup of wine, this nice goblet of wine. Okay, nice goblet of wine, nice big goblet of wine. I pour my wine inside, best dry wine you have. And unfortunately, I have only a bit of wine left inside. So inside the bottle. So it gets to the half of the cup, half of the Kiddush cup. Now I have a Kiddush cup that is half full and half empty. I have two options. I look at the half or the empty half. Okay. But besides, on what do I look? I say 1 second. I want I'm not in a big meal here. Everyone's looking at me. Everyone's looking at this nice kiddush cup I got. I want it to look nice. So I say, what do? I want the kiddush cup to look full. I say, I have an idea. I'll put water inside. So I put water inside this cup of wine. So now I have more or less 50% wine and more or less 50% water. What will be the bracha on this mixture? A gaffin. Why a gaffin?
Oh, you
Okay, so you say it's more important drink. So you say it's a gaffin.
drink.
Okay, so I'm bringing it to make a kiddush, right? So just to be cynical, I'm cynical here. Okay, let's say I take a cup of kiddush cups and I pour water inside to do a gaffin. And I can't do a gaffin and a water just because it's inside the kiddush cup. A drop of water doesn't change the flavor. Here we're talking about 50%.
And also, what was the measurement? Because also, the post for the nighttime kiddush.
Let's say I have more than a repeat.
It's bigger than the post for the kiddush.
Let's say I have more than a repeat. There's no problem. I just wanted to fill up my kiddush cup so it looks nice and full. So you say I got it. I say, 1 second. When's the last time? Do you drink wine? Oh, okay. When's the last time you drink table wine? Yeah. When's the last time you took table wine and diluted it with 50% water? You never done it. And I guess there's a reason for it, right?
I wouldn't like it.
Well, I drink table wine. I want it to taste like wine. One of the things which annoys us, or one of the things that when you go to a good winery, so you can, I think we mentioned it last week, the older the vine is, usually the better the grapes are, right? Established, sometimes it gives less fruit. Even they'll cut some of the branches off, so it'll give less fruit. And what happens when you have less fruit on each vine? It's stronger, right? So you're adding water. How can you do such a thing? So, okay. So on one hand, you say it's a gaffin because,
and also in the old days, in the former days, temple times and thereabouts, wasn't adding water
in the olden times they used to add water, right? They used to add 75% water.
And I'm sure that they made a borei
They have a borei gaffin, right? When they added 75% water, they said borei gaffin because you drink wine. But today, if I dare serve you 50%, you'll tell me that's not wine. Take it back to the shop, right? So maybe one question. Another question, and we're thinking towards the Shehakol. What bracha do we see on honey? Now, it will be Rosh Hashanah very soon, right? Some of us, it's me, we eye the apple because it's a way to get honey. It's a good way to get honey. But let's say I cheated and I took the honey by itself without the apple, okay? Sometimes you can get very good honey. Have you ever tasted honey made out of flowers of Ezov? Tata? I think Ezov. Yeah, Ezov. Not from the plants. So the bees grew around the Ezov. That's very rich honey, right? I'm Australian, so Jarrah, eucalyptus, will be very, very rich. Yeah, it's very good honey, right? So I took my spoon, and also the people on Zoom can join and feel the thing.
The tatar is a sharp taste. So
the flour is different. It's very rich. It's very, very rich. So what bracha do I say on honey? Shakol. So you say shakol, right? Everyone here says it's not a plant. It comes from the bee.
It's a
right?
byproduct.
Is honey kosher? Honey is kosher, right? How is honey kosher if it comes from a bee? Why is honey kosher?
It's not part of the body.
There's a rule that everything that comes out from something which is kosher can be kosher. If it comes out from something which isn't kosher, so it's not kosher. So how could honey be kosher? Okay.
Produced by the bee.
So it's produced by the bee, but where does it come from? From the plant, right? So the bee takes the sap from the plant, I guess adds a bit of enzymes or something which changes it a bit. In the end, when we are having honey, when we enjoy honey, so we aren't eating a bee product, we're eating a product which comes from the plant, okay, from the plant. That's why there's a big question about, how do you call it, queen food or something like that, I think it's called, I'm not sure, something which comes from the bee itself, and they feed it for the queen. I'm not sure the exact name of it. But honey itself comes from the plant, right? That's why also we have such a big difference between eucalyptus honey and jarrah and orchid, because it comes from the plant. So if it comes from the plant, what will it be the bracha on honey? Why is it so simple? It's shakol. Why? Maybe we're all mistaken. We should say that ha'etz or adama. Right? Maybe we'll we'll have apple thrown at us if we say ha'etz, but why is it so simple? Okay, so let's begin. Let's begin with the halachot. I'm in Siman Reish Daled. We'll skip some of the halachot. Siman Reish Daled, and hopefully we'll answer also the honey question and also the wine question. Okay, now the wine question can be quite a common question. I've seen a few times when they had a cup which was missing a centimeter, so they added water. But what happens if it's missing a bit more than a centimeter? Okay, that can be quite a common question.
Rabbi Wen?
So I'll read
Rabbi
the
Wen?
beginning of the Shulchan Aruch inside, and the rest we'll just learn from inside. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Ad davar she'en gidulo min haaretz, everything which doesn't grow from the ground. And he gives examples like meat, chicken and meat, fish, eggs, milk, cheese. All of them, it says, we see on it, shehakol. And he gives here more examples. They are plants that the plants grew. It could be even bread, but it changed already so much that it's already off. Okay, it's stale bread. It's stale bread. You can eat it, but that's not the way to eat bread. Okay, so it says pachipsha, stale bread, stale dates which aren't so good. So all those things you say shehakol. It's something interesting here. So it could be a quiz. How could it be that you will say shehakol on bread? So stale bread. Why do we say hamotzi on bread? It's important, right? If it's not important anymore, it's stale. It has a bit of those green spots that sometimes, right, mold on it, that we close our eyes. It's not mold. It's just I don't know. It's just great. Yeah.
Really
No,
hungry.
only if you're very hungry. Right? In the army, when we otherwise you just throw it out, right? Yeah, under 10. Yeah. Right. So you say. So there's no importance of it. The whole importance of bread is because it's important. But if it's not important, so it goes even lower, you say shakol. And on soup, you say shakol. And as we mentioned, we discussed it in the past. So, yeah. But a crouton it's food. You buy it. It's quite expensive. Yeah, I'm not sure how much it costs, but it costs more than bread sometimes, right? Yeah. So soup, chicken soup, you say shakol on it. Okay, kmehinu pitriot, it's different kinds of mushrooms. You say shakol on them because they aren't considered a plant. It doesn't grow like a regular plant. It doesn't have seeds like a regular plant. It doesn't have roots like a regular plant. So on all those things, you say shakol. All those things you say shakol. That's the general rule we have about shakol. As we'll hopefully go a bit deeper today, shakol is a general bracha. Okay, not like nefashot, not like bracha achrona, which probably we will not reach today. If I said shehakol by mistake on bread, so I'm fine. We'll get. Hopefully, we'll get to it today.
If you said it on regular bread,
by mistake, yeah, by mistake. I said, yeah, by mistake. Okay, so that's the general halacha of shehakol. So also adama. Yeah, it's still a plant. It still has a root system. It's yeah.
Does the Shulchan Aruch list honey?
Yes, Shulchan Aruch list. Yeah, we'll get to it in a sorry.
I mean, what you just read.
It doesn't list honey there, it lists honey very soon. We'll get to honey very, very soon. First, we'll get to the wine question. Okay, first the wine question. I'll start with the story of the wine, and then we'll get to the wine question itself. I'm not sure how many years ago when I did experiments still with food. So I lived in Beit El, and there's quite a good winery there. And I decided to buy, what should I call it, this glass container. And I got from the winery, he sold me the wine was just now starting to ferment. I closed it, sealed it, put it in my shed. I even gave, and after a few weeks or months, I don't remember the time, I had quite nice wine. I think it was Carignan, quite nice wine. I even gave from it Maasrot with a bracha, like so after the first year that I managed to make my own wine from buying the basics, where they half-made wine from the winery, I decided when we moved, actually, afterwards we moved to Kadima, it's much warmer there, I'll make a wine again. So I bought grapes, crushed them, and put them in that glass jar, waited a few weeks, and I had great vinegar. Okay, I had great vinegar. So what bracha do you say on that? You could drink it a bit, maybe. I don't like vinegar, so I don't use it for cooking, but I gave it out and people took it and actually used it. If I have it as wine, what bracha do I say on it? On wine, which already is a bit... So the Shulchan Aruch says...
We have red wine vinegar, for example.
Yeah.
Which is made to use as vinegar.
It's vinegar.
Red wine.
Right. So that I could have used it as vinegar, just I don't like vinegar personally. So on vinegar by itself, you don't say a bracha because it's not good for the body. It doesn't taste nice. You don't say a bracha. If it tastes like wine, but it has a vinegar smell, it's the stage before it becomes vinegar. It tastes like wine. Okay, so although it smells like vinegar, you say agafen. But if people don't drink it because it's already tastes too much like vinegar, so you do not say borei pri agafen. Okay? If it's too sharp, you won't say bracha at all. It's too sharp. If it's still half tasty, so you'll say shakol. And now we'll get to the Shulchan Aruch about wine. And maybe here comes the famous question about what you have on bottles of wine, kasher, borei pri agafen, even according to Shulchan Aruch. Let's start from the times of the Gemara. Okay, and as you mentioned, in the times of the Gemara, they used to put how much, what's the percentage of water in wine? Up to 3/4, right? Up to 3/4 of water, right? I think in the Amora Rava, I'll just check it in a moment, I'll tell you. Okay, Rava, he's the Amora, who used to put on each one portion of wine, 3 portions of water. That used to be the way of Rava. Very, very diluted. I think it's the story of Rava and Rav Yosef. I'm quite certain it's Rava and Rav Yosef. Once Rava maybe didn't really insult Rav Yosef, but he wanted to make sure Rav Yosef, his rabbi, is not upset at him. So he came to Rav Yosef's house and he told his servant, I'll serve him today, and I'll give him, I'll pour for him the wine. So he poured from the wine and he diluted it the same way he's used to diluting it. He gave it to the rabbi, and the rabbi tasted, said that Rabbi Yosef was blind, so he couldn't see. He tastes the wine and says that tastes like the wine of Rava because it's diluted in the way Rava diluted it. Rava tells him, yes, it's certainly me, and then they have a discussion and everything ends up fine. But you can see, so Rava used to dilute the water. He made borei pri agafen. He made borei pri agafen. This halacha, not so much relevant for today, but what happens if you have all of the yeast and all of the schmaltz, whatever it's called, at the end of the wine, you add the water to it, and then you squeeze it again. So the question is if you get a portion of 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4. Now, here I'll read the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch writes, V'hainu, what we just mentioned of 1 out of 4, Ba'inot shelahem, shayu chazakim, it's on their wine, which was very strong. Why was it very strong? I'm not so sure. Why was it so strong than today? אבל ינות שלנו שאינן חזקים כל כך, our wine, which isn't so strong, maybe it's not so concentrated, אפילו רמה תלתה ועתה 4, if you still have a portion of 1 out of 4, אינו מברך עליו בורא פרי הגפן. You do not say בורא פרי הגפן. So according to the Shulchan Aruch, a portion in our days of 1 out of 4, you do not say Borei Pri Hagafen. Now here comes the Shulchan Aruch and continues with something interesting, and that brings the question of the 50-50. Venire, seems like, says the Shulchan Aruch, שמשערים בשיעור שמוזגים יין באותו מקום. How do you check? How do you measure? It's a measurement that people do on that time in that area. It's according to Shulchan Aruch. If you want to know if you say Borei Pri Hagafen, check around. It's the minhag of how do normal people, regular people, drink wine. If they dilute it, they'll put 10% and they'll still sell it as wine, that's fine. If 20%, it still will be a cheap wine, but you can still buy it, that's fine. But if 25% already, you aren't even allowed to label it as a wine, that might be a problem. Okay, and here, so let's go to our days. I think in our days, if you take dry wine, ready wine, and dilute it with even 25%, I'm not sure people will drink it as wine. However, if you buy sweet wine or strengthened wine, sweetened wine, which while fermenting, people at the winery added sugar and added water, you can even see the color. The color will be different, will be a bit brown, right? You can see the difference in color between sweet wine and the regular wine, dry wine. The bracha might still be hagafen. And why is that? Because you buy it as wine and you use it for the regular use is wine. If you ask people, you serve it to him, you ask him, what is this? They'll say, look, it's cheap wine, but I still call it wine. That's the normal way to diluting wine today. And really, that's according to the Shulchan Aruch. Okay? Let's read poskim from today. The Chazon Ish said, and that's his time, I think in our times, maybe the percentages might change a bit, up to a third water, it's still considered hagafen. But the Chazon Ish didn't say 3/4 water, 75%, he said 33%. You can see the difference between the times of the Chazon Ish and the times of the Gemara. So how the wine industry changed, and it also affected the Brachot. Yeah, grape juice is Borei Pri Hagafen, right? No, it's called Yain Migito. That's Borei Pri Hagafen. There's no doubt about it. It's called Yain Migito. Wine. You just Yain Migito. Wine from Gat is the.
Oh, it's bad.
Yeah.
Gat.
Yeah. Gito is his Gat. His Gat. Yeah. Okay. The Shut Shevet Halevi. Okay, Rav Vosner writes that in our days we still have some wines could be strong that even if you diluted it a lot, it is still considered wine. Anyway, but so it's hard to give. Yeah, so it's hard to give an exact measurement, and that's why here Shevet Halevi says even today we do have some wines that you can dilute them a lot and they'll still be considered. I think I'm not familiar with them. I think they're already diluted and I think they're already sweetened in the process of making.
And they're thick. So they're very thick wines.
I think already they have water in it. I think I'm not sure. I don't know them. I think. I just want to read for you one thing here from the Chazon Ish, if I just find it fast. Okay, for Kiddush, we are more familiar with grape juice. Usually we do Kiddush on grape juice. What happens if we do a bit of grape juice and a bit of water inside grape juice? So here wine is still alcoholic. It's still strong, right? What happens about grape juice? If I add a bit of water into grape juice, so here again, it really depends. Grape juice, not like wine, and that's interesting actually, by grape juice, sometimes if I add water, I'll still call it grape juice. Because wine, I want the wine taste. I pay money to get the wine flavor. In grape juice, says the Chazon Ish, even up to 50%. He's makel. Some poskim say, no, a few drops are fine. More than that, it's problematic. So we have here a few details, but if we want to summarize it, okay, in our days, if we have 50% already, that's becoming problematic. כן, כן, אם יש לפי הזמן, כן. כן, כן, כן. כן, כן. So in our days, 75% for sure is a problem, okay? But 50% depending on what, some grape juices, some wine will still consider it fine. But typically we will not want to add more than 25%, maybe 33% water. That will be considered already too diluted. I will read here the Rama. I will read the Rama here. The Rama, obviously, is based on the Gemara. And my gut feeling, like in other halachot of Brachot, he's based also on the Ashkenazi custom, or the fact that people in Europe were very poor. So that's my gut feeling. He's based on the Gemara, but the fact he brings it to halacha, that's I feeling is because in Europe that's what they used to have. There was no wine, and the Rama says even 1 out of 6, one portion out of 6, is still considered wine, and it's based on the Gemara. And I think it's because people that's so poor, so that's the wine we have. Okay, as we said, if you follow the Shulchan Aruch, and that's so today more than 50%, we'll say that's water. Okay, that's diluted water with wine. Right. Okay, so we answered the question of wine. Okay, some people can add a bit of water to wine, that's fine. A few drops, even grape juice, it's fine. If you get to too much, that's already a problem. I want to read for you the halacha of honey. Okay, and honey for us, obviously, it's shehakol, right? But Shulchan Aruch. If I just add
grape juice to wine.
Grape juice is hagafin and wine has hagafin, so it's fine. It's both hagafin, right?
If you add water.
If I add water, so if I add already more than 25, 30%, it's becoming already a problem. Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So you can add have grape juice with wine. Yeah. One halacha, important halacha. If I drink water, if I'm drinking, I think we mentioned it in the past, we'll just mention it again. If I drink it because I'm thirsty, so I say she'akol. If I drink it just because I want to swallow a tablet or a medicine, or because I'm choked on something, so I have water. I'm not thirsty. I do not want to drink. The only reason I have it is because I want to have a tablet, so I'm choking. So I do not say a bracha at all. Okay, and
if you would,
yeah,
would it be a bracha with a towel?
Yeah, seems like yeah. I'm not getting pleasure from it.
No, but some people have a habit of taking a bracha on anything where they put it.
So usually, yeah, I think usually a person is a bit thirsty. If he takes a tablet, usually he is a bit thirsty. I have a habit if I need to take something, a tablet, so usually I'm thirsty, and then I'll just drink beforehand a bit, say a bracha on it, and then have the tablet. But also usually I'm thirsty. I think only in the army when they force you to drink, finish a whole bottle, and you just finished it 2 minutes ago, finish another one. That's the only time when I wouldn't say a bracha on the water, because usually we are thirsty. One more halacha before we get to the honey. If I ate pork, could it be that I say a bracha beforehand? So first, what? I ate purpose, yeah. So obviously not. Obviously yes. If we have time, we'll expand on it. If someone he eats pork le'achis, you can't say a bracha for saying an isur. But if he's in danger, and the reason he's eating pork now is because he's in danger, is this pork now, for him, is it permitted to eat? What? It's medicine for him. He's allowed to eat it. No, he enjoys it. Okay, he does get enjoyment from it. Okay. So since he's enjoying it, and on that moment for him, it's not fine. It's for him, he's allowed to eat it. He says a bracha on it. And that could be another riddle if you have here. How could it be that you say a bracha on non-kosher food? Says Shulchan Aruch, achal mash. Yes, if she has a desire, if she wants it, yes. So she'll say bracha before. Okay, let's read the Shulchan Aruch. Dvash dvorim, honey from bees. Hareu kishar dvash, bee honey, right? It's like any other honey, and you see it only shakol. Now the Shulchan Aruch here is a bit strange. I can understand shakol. That's everyone knows we say shakol and honey. But what do you mean? It's like regular honey. It's like a date honey. It should be the opposite. It's more. What's more obvious? You say shakol on bee honey, or say shakol on date honey. Bee honey, right? So I should say the opposite. Date honey is like bee honey, and you say shakol on that. It seems like here for the Shulchan Aruch, it's obvious that date honey is shakol, and you know what? Also, bee honey is shakol. Okay, so looks like there's some catch. So there's two explanations the Achronim bring. One of them, says the Mishnah Berurah, it's just a simana be'alma, it's just a way to remember it. Okay, honey, it's a way to remember it. Okay, so that's why the Shulchan Aruch mentioned it. Another explanation could be, I argued with you. I told you 1 second, bee honey is sap from flowers. It should be adama. It should be her eggs. I'm eating something which is from flowers. It's not like date honey, which I took a date, squeezed it, changed it. Here, that's why the Shulchan Aruch needs to tell us, don't try to trick them like I tried to trick you. Bee honey, okay, honey from the bees, it's shehakol. Although it comes from plants, it's not the main part of the plant, it's shehakol, and that's a bracha on honey. So if you want to steal a spoon of honey on Rosh Hashanah, the bracha is shehakol. When we have a tefillah v'chatima tova, I think we have a question, just one moment, if we have a moment for that. Why can't I see the chat?
Rabbi Wend?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that when I use wine for Havdalah, sometimes I put seltzer, soda water in. Makes it a spritzer. It's delicious.
Queen bees, okay.
I have a
What is it?
question to that one.
Yeah.
I have a related question.